Greetings, viewers of the Virtual Office Hours. John Fia here. As many of you who watch the Office Hours know, I teach American history and chair the history department at Messiah College. We are in the middle of our spring 2015 series where we're sort of turning inward a little bit and looking at some of the things that we've been doing in the history department here at Messiah College. This is going to be an interesting semester because we're going to have some special guests with us. And today we are in the office of the esteemed Dean of Humanities at Messiah College, Peter Powers. Peter Powers also happens to be my boss. But we are here to talk about humanities at Messiah College. The history department here at Messiah is part of the School of Humanities. And we're going to have a quick conversation with him about what's happening in that area. Of course, we have our faithful producer, Megan Piet, behind the camera. We have the founding fathers with us. And we have Pete Powers here with us as well. Pete, welcome to the Virtual Office Hours.
And this is the highlight of my year.
Pete is a big fan of the Virtual Office Hours, so we're happy to have him. Happy to have him here. Pete, you have been the dean for how many years now?
This is my seventh year.
This is my seventh year, and I think it's fair to say a lot of new things have been happening in humanities with Pete as the dean. Yeah. Tell us, we're in a situation right now in academia as a whole in which, the humanities is under fire. Maybe we can even get some titles, some screenshots, Megan, of Chronicle of Higher Education articles and so forth. I know you're very informed about this. You've done a lot of reading on this subject as a dean of the humanities. Where do you see the humanities going? Is there a crisis? If there is, what do we have to do to deal with it?
That's great. Well, again, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here with the past dispensers. Right? I was afraid we were going to miss out on that. So,
good.
Man, it's a big question, and I'll try to be a faux historian on one level, right? Sure. Because it gives me both hope and concern. I mean, if you do look at kind of the history of American higher education, kind of the things we're going through are not brand new. There's like this continual debate about what is college for? Should students be off studying French when they'd be better off learning how to be better farmers? Right. The Morrill Act was not designed to get people to study history or philosophy. It was designed to get people to study mechanics, and things like that. So, the growth of higher education through the centuries has been pronounced and profound, and humanities have benefited from that. But this debate and, the attack, as you put it, it has many different manifestations to it. So on the one hand, that gives me a lot of hope on one sense. The humanities have endured. The humanities have changed, they've adapted, they've done new and different things over the years, and so that to me is really hopeful thing. I actually feel like we also will endure this kind of current. Sure. Now, it is really pronounced right now, however. The things that are most concerning to me are not like politicians that try to score points, by hacking on anthropology or history or
Florida,
pundits,
North Carolina,
pundits that say certain kinds of things. But I am concerned, about the material circumstances. College is increasingly difficult to afford for students, and this is the rationale. I'm not saying it's necessarily an ironclad rationale or a great rationale. I certainly think it's not. But it's certainly the rationale behind people saying, well, you better get prepared for a job. And so, go out and get that other degree that's, nursing or engineering or whatever. And that's not to disparage those programs. We have those programs at Messiah, and I value my colleagues and the students that are in those programs. But it's certainly the case that the cost of higher education is a big challenge. And so I am concerned about that. How do we promote and convince people of the value proposition of the humanities? And I think we have been doing that. You've been doing that through the various kinds of things you do through the career.
Well, that might be a nice transition.
So
good. Pete has done a lot of work in sort of thinking about creative ways to bring the humanities, to lead a school of humanities. He's been quoted in the Chronicle of Higher Education. He speaks regularly to the Lilly, or he's given a lecture at least to the Lilly Foundation on careers, and I think Messiah is slowly getting a sort of reputation thanks to Pete as a place where, we're putting in some programs and ideas to kind of bring humanities maybe into the 21st century. I don't know if that's a fair statement, but what's happening at Messiah in terms of whether it be programs or ideas? And I know it's not all programs, but there's a culture that needs to be created. Right? What's happening here?
Yeah, I mean, I use the catchphrase to some of my colleagues. I probably should use it more with even the school and faculty and students in the school. But I think what we really ought to be about in education is educating the whole person for their whole lives.
Yeah.
And I think that's what humanities is about. I think it's always been about that to some degree, but in some ways we have to expand what that means and articulate what that means more effectively. I think a big part of it is careers. I would like to kind of draw that even up into a larger discourse on one level and just say we need humanities to be about the kind of public impact that can be, and not just about forming the mind of the student, however important that is. I think we need to be producing students that are deeply engaged with the life of the mind, but also know how to apply that life in the world. So, the things you guys have been doing, certainly with careers, is something that I have tried to actually expand out in various ways to the rest of the school. I actually got some of my ideas just from looking at things that the history department was doing.
We are, by the way, later in the series, we'll be having a similar interview with Christy Hansen, the director of our Career Center.
That's great.
So,
and she's been a great partner in some of this stuff. So, making sure that students actually are thinking about not only developing the life of the mind, but how does developing that through my major, whether it's English or philosophy or comm or religion, how do I apply that in some sense? And I think that about careers. I also am very concerned about thinking that Messiah Humanities will be known for making a public impact, both through our programming, but then also, of course, through what students do with it after they're done. I would look at the Digital Harrisburg Project, which is school-wide, but significantly driven by the history
David
department
Pettigrew as well.
Just making a difference to how the region, how the city of Harrisburg understands itself, providing opportunities for self-understanding and learning. I think that public directedness and making an impact on the public is very important for us. And to my mind, that's why those two things together is kind of why I put such an emphasis on the digital humanities parts of things here, both because it's a really potentially effective, powerful tool for public impact, and it's giving students skills that they can use elsewhere once they get how they can apply the life of the mind to their life after college. So,
tell us a little bit, real quickly. Tell us a little bit about the Center for Public Humanities.
Yeah, the center is great, of course, envisioned and founded by my predecessor, Joseph Huffman, who's now back in the faculty, and just a real visionary in what he saw. I think we've taken that original vision for the public humanities and even expanded on some of the things that were originally envisioned. We try to bring in great speakers, that we invite the public in to come to us, but I think that increasingly we've been moving out into the community through the programs of the public humanities. The Hoverder course is really growing, providing humanities learning for students. The public humanities fellows that are being led by Gene Corey and helped by David Pettigrew.
And we're going to be interviewing some of them too.
Making a real difference to programs like Poetry in Place through Jump Street. So really developing community partners and having that kind of public impact through the center, I think, has been really important.
Good. We have about a minute left. Where's the humanities going? Maybe you've already answered this, but what's your vision? Tell us what the future looks like, or is the future already in place and we just need to unfold it?
Well, there is some sense in which I think, we've done a lot of things in 7 years, and I actually think we need to mature those things and grow those things that we already have. I mean, David Pettigrew and the Digital Humanities Initiative are on the verge of applying for another NEH grant to complement what we already have in place through the center. That would push the Digital Harrisburg project forward. I'm very excited about that possibility that will really expand that project. So I think that there is some just growing, maturing what we have in place. I will be honest, I think the horizon that we have to deal with here at Messiah and the humanities has to deal with generally across the country is the changing demographics in higher education. I've become very concerned about this, and it's been a long time part of my identity as a professional, but still trying to get my mind around the fact of how do we deal with a diversifying student body, how do we deal with a diversifying culture. I think we've done some things very good at that in the humanities, but it is still very much the case that first generation students and diverse students are not being drawn into the humanities in the way that I wish that they were being. And so trying to think about what do we need to do with programming, what do we need to do with recruitment, what do we need to do with communication to make the humanities viable in those communities, I think is really important.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, much of what we're doing in the history department is part of a larger project here, and that's why we wanted to have Peter come along and talk a little bit about the humanities and maybe how some of the things we're doing and that you'll see in future episodes are sort of intersecting with the vision of the humanities here at Messiah. So, hey, thanks for coming on,
so
Pete.
much.
We appreciate it. And we did not call each other up and say both wear blue shirts today. Although notice he's the dean. He's the dean, so he has a tie on.
I actually have my coat over here, though, because I wanted to be informal for this august occasion.
Thanks for watching the Office Hours. We'll see you next time.